CDS, and then I took the SSP, and I cleared it, and I went into the Short Service Commission. Um, and I did it right after college. And unfortunately, during my training, I met with an accident. I sort of came back to civilian life. So if you were to sort of look at it, Kabir, I was probably always destined to be in the creative side of the business.
Yeah.
While the army was probably the pursuit of my happiness and what I really wanted to do. So I thought it's a good segue into what we really want to talk about today, which is about challenging yourself, doing things instead of just throwing yourself out there. So I started with something, but now I landed something else, and I'm equally happy doing this.
Yeah, awesome. I actually didn't know that after all the conversations we've had on chat and on phone and meeting up as well. I didn't know that about you. So good to know that, man. And so how long was that transition from getting into civilian life and
The entire period was about a year and a half.
okay.
So it was long enough for it to stay, but it was short enough for me not to get troubled by it.
And did you jump straight into starting your own agency? Was it right
So
to
I
the
start.
entrepreneurial journey, or did you join somebody else first?
No, I actually joined. I actually joined a news channel. It was an online news channel, and I started my journey with them because it seemed like an easy job. It was a writer's job. I just essentially had to edit a
Yeah.
whole bunch of things. Got really bored with that because it was not action oriented enough. I think in those days, online news was not very popular. We were talking about early 2000s.
Yeah.
Now it would have been a completely different ballgame. That would have been fantastic. Um, I started my entrepreneurial sort of advertising career probably a year post that.
Okay.
That is when I joined. I was the fourth member to join an advertising agency. It was just starting off. Before me there was the founder, there was one writer, there was me, and then there was the guy who essentially used to double up as everything.
Yeah.
He was like a man Friday, right? And we essentially were a bunch of people who wanted to deliver marketing solutions and marketing services to emerging businesses. I had no idea how to do that job, absolutely none. I started as a planner, not knowing what that really entails, and I went on to do that for 10 years, Kabir.
Amazing.
I learned everything on the job. We grew from a team of 4 to a team of around 120. We went to 2 different cities, worked with probably around 150, 200 odd brands, worked across India, length and breadth of it, as well as with international businesses. So that was really my foundation. I didn't go to any college to learn advertising or marketing. I learned by
jumped into the
I
deep
jumped
end
into it.
straight
Yeah,
up. Yeah.
yeah. I jumped into it. I essentially just met so many business people. I had a ringside view of how they were running their businesses, how they were sort of working through the challenges that small businesses, emerging businesses have in India, or even large scale ones.
Yeah.
It was essentially straight through the fire. I think I learned more than probably anyone could through their probably years of MBA.
Yeah, I think there's so much information about how going through an entrepreneurial journey and really hustling and fighting through is you can learn so much more than an MBA there. And I think in a client facing position, when you're at an advertising agency or an agency in general, and you're meeting key decision makers in companies, you learn about their challenges, work with them to try to figure out how to kind of address those challenges and meet goals. So that's, I think, the best way to learn. Just jump off into the deep end. And so awesome. Thank you for that introduction. And before we jump in to everything that we're here to talk about, just set a little agenda here about what Samriddh and I are going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about a little bit about his fitness journey, how personally what fitness means to him, and his outlook on the health and wellness space as a stakeholder, as somebody in a key position in a company that is creating products for the Indian audience, and also how that kind of is going to be changing over the coming months. So we'll be addressing that in our feature section, and we'll go into a closing thought section, followed by a Q&A where Samriddh and I will be running through your questions and addressing those. So feel free to drop in any questions that you feel are relevant to things that we're talking about in the chat. We'll address those all at the end. So yeah, let's kick it off. Before we jump into the ecosystem and the overall wellness stuff, Samriddh, I'd really like to hear. I mean, for everybody to hear a little bit about your personal fitness journey. What got you into it. Aside from the professional side, but what is fitness personally mean to you?
Everything, honestly. I was an early 80s kid, and for me, life was really outside. I didn't have screens. I
No
definitely didn't have
iPads.
screens which could.
Yeah.
Thanks. I didn't have screens that could fit into your hand, right? And none of us did. So for us, life was outside. It was all about sort of throwing yourself out there, just playing in the dirt. That's how it started. It,
Yeah.
it starts always with the small little things that you're able to go out and do things. But one, I still remember this was like a pivotal point in my life where I really committed to it, which was, see, I was a scrawny kid. Okay, I was extremely scrawny. I was tiny. I was essentially just super protected also in
Yeah.
some form. I come from a Bengali family, the oldest son. It's a protected life. Let's
Yes,
just
it
be
is.
right. And I had my fair share of bullies in school, right? And it was commonplace.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So I had my fair share of bullies, and this was, I think, the eighth, ninth, maybe the 10th, and summer vacations happened, and I had enough. I had enough of just getting picked on. So I, so I live in I live in South Delhi, and we have this very nice sort of place close home which teaches you martial arts,
Yeah.
um, right? And I went there, and one full summer was just about martial arts, right?
Nice.
Uh, it transformed me. Okay, it transformed the way I was looking at myself. It transformed the way people were looking at me. It transformed my confidence. I suddenly was walking taller, bigger, stronger. My posture changed. Everything just evolved. Um, and that was it. I never stopped after that, right? So I realized that was really the point where I had to stand up for myself. I had to do something, and the only way I was going to be able to do it was by getting stronger and fitter and meaner and being able to kick someone if I needed to. Not that I ever had to. Not that I ever had to. But
Whatever it
thankfully,
takes. Whatever it
thankfully,
takes.
whatever it takes, right?
Yeah.
So thankfully, I never had to sort of get down to proving the worth of it.
Yeah.
But what I'm really trying to say here is that you sometimes just do things where you don't really have to prove anything to
Yeah.
anyone. You're just doing it because it just means so much to you.
Yeah.
It helps you evolve. It helps you look at yourself in a much better light,
Yeah.
and it did that for me. So that's how it started, and since then I just continued. There have been moments when I've let go, but I always sort of bounce back as
Yeah.
much as I can.
Yeah, awesome. So the idea there was to kind of go in and not get bullied anymore, but you got so
Yeah,
much more out of it, right?
absolutely.
Whether it was confidence, psychologically, you kind of evaluate things very differently once you start, committing to something like that. So that's great, man. I kind of wanted to jump into, based on our interactions over the last, 6+ months, we both kind of discussed a lot of different things. You've always made yourself available to helping people out. Even with work, you're always on top of things. You respond to emails within 3 minutes. You've already reviewed data before it's been officially shared to you. So how do you kind of manage all of this? You've got a large team that is working with you. But besides all of that, anytime I was able to make it to the gym before 8 a.m., you were already there getting ready to go to work. So how are you able to kind of balance all of this, and what kind of keeps you going throughout all of that?
Mortality, honestly.
Wow. Wow.
I know it sounds terribly depressing, maybe, uh, but mortality. I realized this. I'll recount an incident. Okay, this was when I was in advertising.
Yeah.
Very long hours, terrible lifestyle in most ways. I think I was probably 31, maybe not even that. And one day I was driving down and I just started feeling extremely sick, and I had this terrible chest pain. So I drove myself to a hospital. I called a colleague and I said, "What's the name of the hospital?" And sort of drove myself there. Um, and I was like, "Dude, I'm a goner. Clearly something's wrong." And it just happened that I essentially was just having an acid reflux attack, and not nothing more complicated than
Yeah.
that. Uh, but it was a wake up call. It was a wake up call where I realized that one, I was probably not doing enough for myself in terms of my fitness, in terms of just being healthier, making better choices in life, and I was also not really doing anything to contribute to anyone. It was a very sort of closed, obsessed, self-centered life in some form. Um, so I chose to do two things. One, I chose to spend my time better. And I chose to be very mindful of where I was spending my time, right? So how I was spending it and where I was spending it. These were two choices I started making very early on in life. So just to give you a sense of things, I don't genuinely Netflix and binge, right? Not chill, but Netflix and binge. I don't do that, right?
Yeah.
I watch very little. Um, I I try not to spend time on things which don't give me almost an instant gratification in some form. By that, what I mean by that is I'm not going to pick up a very long book and read it. It might sound very detrimental, but I just don't think that I have the time and the energy to do it. I choose my time. I choose to spend my time with people who probably will benefit from the time that I'm spending with them. And that's a super enriching phenomena where you are not going to be compensated for something. There is no sort of monetary compensation just because you're spending time with someone. But there's a satisfaction that someone has got some value out of that engagement. I started doing that. That actually started one, enriching my knowledge base. Second, that made me much deeper and better networked. And third, that allowed me to choose things at my own pace, choose to do things at my own pace, because I was not obligated to do things which had money involved. Um, so it it was a choice. It was a very conscious choice that I made to make sure that I choose fitness over other things. I choose to spend time with people who genuinely need it and spend it at my own pace, sort of do things at my own pace. And that really helped me. Yeah. So I don't think it's a miracle or it's a magic pill that I have in terms of or any sort of advice. What keeps me going is the fact that I'm deeply mortal and I want to spend my time contributing to people and just doing as much as I can do. And if that happens, then it's a good thing. Yeah.
Okay, so getting into fitness and also balancing and providing value came both from self-protection scare almost.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. You're only as good as the network you have, and you're only as strong as how you make yourself.
Yeah, fair enough. And the entire outlook of pure value addition to other people. How does that kind of transfer in to the fitness space for you? And how long do you think it took you to get to a point where you were comfortably thinking to yourself that yes, I am cutting out, say, toxic people in my life. I am not maybe spending time doing things that don't really bring me the kind of value or gratification that I really want to get.
I think I was very cognizant of it from a very early stage in my life. Uh, it was not something that just happened. I have traditionally been very YOLO. I have
Before it was termed.
before it was termed. Before it was termed. I was also very clear that I wanted to look at the positive side of things. So post that army incident, right?
Yeah.
And which is something I really wanted to do. Um, I came back and I had two choices, right? I was going to wallow in a point where I was going to feel miserable about myself, right? It was a shit show of life, and I was going to feel really miserable about
Yeah.
myself. Or I was going to look at the positive side of almost everything that I could, and I chose to do that. It's difficult. It doesn't happen automatically. It doesn't happen overnight. There are a lot of times that I fail, but I choose to do that. So I choose to also cut out situations and people who I believe don't contribute very meaningfully to me. I have left. Uh, commercial engagements because of that, where I have had, let's say, deep-rooted disagreements in terms of the way we would look at things, but only from a profession, not so much a personal level, right? I think it sort of comes down to that. It's about what your priorities are, right? What is your barometer? If your barometer is about you finding happiness and peace in terms of being able to contribute back to people and enriching their lives, and people not just in terms of the person engaging with, but your customers, your stakeholders, uh, the ecosystem that you represent, the people you're with, I think you will always end up making the right choice. So it depends on what guides you. What's that barometer that's guiding you, right? What's the compass that's helping you arrive at it?
Interesting. And before we jump into the health ecosystem side of things, how is it? How do you apply that same theory or that same phenomena to your personal fitness? Like what is your personal fitness journey been in terms of exploring different types of workout methods? Most recently, you were obviously with me in Cult, and we were basically lifting Loha and
Yeah.
doing cardio along with it. But besides that, tell us a little bit. Obviously you train pretty hard. I'm sure
I
when
have
you were
a
in.
I
Yeah.
I have a submission. I don't like cardio. Uh, I just don't like cardio, man. It just sucks. But no, I still do it. Uh, Two things, right? One, I recognize the limitations and capabilities of my body very early on, and I think it's extremely important to do that. I would. I'm not one for aesthetics. I'm one for the fact that I can move. I'm mobile. I'm able to sort of do things that don't hurt me, don't give me an
Yeah.
immense amount of trouble, right? So that's really where it is, right? If I believe that some exercise is sapping the energy out of me, I feel terrible uh, after doing it, and I have to have my full day of work, but it doesn't really contribute towards anything. But it's a more aesthetically right exercise to do, or it leads to an aesthetically sort of structured physique.
Yeah.
I don't go for that. That's not really me, right? So I realized very early on that I'm not working out to look a certain way. I'm working
Yeah.
out to feel a certain way. I was very clear about that. In retrospect, maybe that's exactly what's driven me throughout, right? I don't need to look a certain way as long as I feel a certain way. I choose my workout accordingly. I do circuits, so I do very complex circuits every day
Yeah.
because I do them like twice a week, maybe. So my circuits are probably like an hour 45-ish long, but they're very complicated. They have a mix of a lot of body weight exercises, extreme amounts of stretching, very painful ones, by the way.
Yeah.
It's extreme amounts of stretching, and also a lot of sort of just free weights. I lift. I can keep the same weight for months where I am, being aware of
Yeah.
the demands that I have in my life. Right. I'm not getting any younger. I'm not old, but I'm not getting any younger. So obviously, it has an impact on metabolism. It has an impact on how much you can process.
Yeah.
I'm extremely conscious about what I eat, though. That is one thing I am, right? So I have cut out sugar to one of the largest extents possible. I have a little bit here and there, but I definitely don't have any refined sugar. I am not a big carb loader. I don't, unless there is a day when I'm going to lift super heavy and I do end up
You
loading
need the
a little bit of
energy.
carb.
Yeah.
Then, yeah, I end up eating controlled portions most of the time, and I try and eat as early as possible. And the only thing I don't do is I don't sleep enough. So that's something that my
We've
body
discussed
doesn't
that
get.
with our 3
Yeah,
a.m. Twitter chats.
yeah. But other than that, yeah, I think I'm extremely mindful of how I eat, what I eat. I'm extremely mindful of the kind of exercises that I do, and I'm trying to just better that rather than trying to reinvent the way I can look.
Okay, and in terms of the circuits that you're designing, what are
Yeah.
some sources of information you're using to do that? Is it something, knowledge that you've acquired over the years, or are there some sources of information that are go-to for you in terms of actually designing those workouts?
So those few months in the army helped.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I I remember those exercises because they were absolutely brutal and remember them really, really well. Second, I keep looking at Instagram as a very interesting source of information because there's so much that's being posted. You just have to choose to follow the right people,
Yeah.
right? And some circuits, for example, there's Swedi Shweta who does some phenomenal circuits.
Yeah.
And you look at a circuits and you're embarrassed because you probably can't even pull them off. At least I can't pull off half of them. But she's brilliant.
Yeah.
Most of the outfit guys are great. David is great. So these are
Yeah,
people I follow.
his account is just so intimidating to even look at. It's just
Yeah,
recovery karni, and then the next
yeah,
3 days are just brutal. But yeah, thank you for that. Inside look into how you've kind of created that routine for yourself, and I think I really like the ideas that you have about how to kind of how you actually look at fitness in that way, right? That it is functional. It's not so much about the aesthetic feel. It's really about feeling good. And I think a lot of people don't listen to their body, which is something that you kind of highlighted, that you have to realize how your metabolism is moving. You have to realize that if you don't do the posture correctly, that there's no point in doing it really. You're just going to enjoy
yeah,
yourself, and it's really not about lifting the heaviest weight. It's about how you lift it, and how long you can, even the higher reps that people do. It has a much better impact on your fitness than just being able to lift really heavy and then feeling like shit for 3 days after that. So
absolutely.
jumping in to your role at Akiva,
Yeah,
we worked very closely. I've had a very inside look into how you guys think of the product, how you guys approach your target audience. But for the participants that are here, if you could just give us a quick brief of what the vision is at Akiva and where you guys are at currently, I think that'll be great.
Yeah. Akiva started off by trying to make it easier for people to access healthier products, right? We started with Health Shot, which is our proprietary product. It's what we are known for in the market. These are ready to drink Ayurvedic shots, super easy to have, extremely healthy. They come in multiple variants, which solve certain specific challenges. Uh, the purpose was always very well defined. The purpose was about making healthier foods and healthier beverages more accessible to people, more affordable, tastier, and making sure that people really sort of kick off the fitness journey without needing to go through too many complications in terms of finding what really is a good product for them. Uh, this was around 3 years back. We haven't deviated from it. We have just added more interesting products to the portfolio. One of the ways of doing that is by getting extremely close to the customer, understanding their needs, and then what we do is we sort of go back and we build solutions to solve for those needs. Um, that's really been the journey. I think today where we sit, we are a preferred choice for a lot of interesting brands. We work very closely with Culfit. We work very closely with Koki. We are also sort of looking at a situation where a lot of dietitians and nutritionists recommend us to their clients. A lot of fitness experts have already made us a part of their daily life.
Yeah.
It's been a journey of being able to fulfill a lot of people's specific health needs, and also evolving our product portfolio by understanding emerging needs as we speak.
Awesome. And how are you balancing, the information that you're getting from the feedback loop with your consumers, integrations with, say, partners like Cult and Goki, and also getting, insights from fitness professionals and experts that are telling you maybe what is required by consumers from health food companies to be able to kind of enhance their health journey? How do you balance that information, and what to you seems the most relevant to be able to make product decisions?
Great question. It's a bit of a trial and error here, right? Because there are very divergent needs between what, let's say, a company might want to give, what the consumer really needs, and what the market really demands, and what the supply chain is allowing you to do.
Yeah.
It's a very complex mechanism. But also we have been slightly lucky in this way, and I'm just making a quick submission, is that we started the industry. I mean, the entire health shots as an industry was completely sort of pioneered by us. There was no one else. And it's been around 3.5, 4 years, and there still has been no one that's sort of come in and take over that section of the industry. It's an extremely fast-growing industry. We sell to the States, we sell in the UK and India. And one of the things that we do very well is looking at emerging needs across different geographies, and then working with extremely reputable labs and healthcare professionals, as well as dietitians, nutritionists, as I mentioned, and chefs, to get the taste right.
Right. Yeah.
And then being able to sort of develop a product, right? But it comes from the consumer demand. It comes from the consumer need. It doesn't necessarily come from a deviation from that. But it's always about trying to fulfill that. Example you took is of Cultfit and let's say even Goki. Two phenomenal brands who are also extremely cognizant of what the consumer wants and what the consumer demands.
Yeah.
So it never happens that their requirement versus what the consumer
is very different.
Is very different, right? Yeah. And it's a very sort of cross-linked, cross-pollinated requirement list that comes to us, and we try our best to solve for it. We have obviously stayed away from some product portfolios which we felt that were not right for our kind of audience set, or just was not sitting very well with in our DNA. But having said that, I think there are lots of companies who are trying to fulfill various needs. But we sort of stick to our core principle, our core offering, and we have been able to evolve that over the last few years.
Great. Yeah. And Health Shots is, again, congratulations on that. I know you guys have worked very hard on it over many years, and I've used obviously the Amla one many times, and have also worked with you on marketing them as well. So
yes.
How do you, for future product launches, I was there when you were launching the peanut butter. And I remember having a lot of conversations with you in terms of thought that went behind the product, what the messaging of the product is. How do you guys also prepare future launches, or what is the vision that goes behind making new products available for the market? And again, this might be kind of a repeat question, but how are you using information from the feedback loop to be able to prioritize? We know that the audience wants XYZ products. We feel that based on supply chain, based on our manufacturing capabilities, this is the best one. What are some things that go into that thought process?
Yeah. So actually, you answered
Yeah, I
it
did
partly.
partly. Sorry.
You answered it partly. So quick ones, right? One, we have a closed user group. We
Yeah.
rely on the closed user group to give us very specific insights. The closed user group is extremely vibrant. It comprises people from different geographies, different age groups. They don't speak to each other. It's extremely sort of guarded and held by us, so that no one's idea is influenced by another one.
Yeah.
What we do is we do very close one-on-one engagements with them to understand what their emerging needs are. We draw out a product roadmap. Our product roadmap actually drawn out for the next probably 18 odd months. So we don't
wow.
really know what So we know what we're going to do. We're just waiting for the right time to do a lot of that. It also, just to quickly explain the supply chain bit to you here, because there's a business component to it. We have very strong control over the quality as well as the availability of raw materials on the supply chain, because that's really where our business starts scoring, right? A lot of people who might want to get into this space of health food need to be very cognizant of the fact that the supply chain for health food is still extremely either pharma-led, or it turns into a situation where it becomes second priority as compared to big food.
Yeah.
And there aren't too many players who are still making it. It's still not as large as a big food, right? Where your supply chains are more sorted, your distribution is sorted. There's a way to generate consumer demand. Health food industry till now has had this challenge, right, where it's slightly unrewarded. It's vying for differentiation. It's extremely also underrepresented in terms of how the industry is, right? So where big food has massive representation across, the health food industry is still a very nascent emerging industry. So it doesn't have the kind of representation that most other large industries have. And the media acceptance is there in terms of making it more mainstream. But then again, it turns into FMCG leading media and not health food leading media.
Yeah.
Right. So even if you look at shelf space right now, you'll see there is a certain component of shelf space given to health, which is emerging and it's growing. So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But it's still not as fast as it should be. Right. So what happens with that is that a lot of companies start to look at the now and here. And the now and here is what is that one product that I can bring to move it as fast as possible, so that I don't land up with extra products which might expire or which might not sell. Right?
Yeah.
But thankfully enough, at Akiva, we have always been ahead of the consumer demand curve. So we have been blessed by virtue of that. So I think honestly, we have just been able to deliver some fantastic products. People have loved them. There has been acceptance of it, and we have had multiple channels to deliver the products to our people. Right. So we have been able to circumvent the challenge, or we have not had that challenge because of the sheer love that people have for the brand.
Yeah.
But any emerging health food brand is going to always need to solve for that. How do you generate that consumer love? How do you solve for consumer needs? How do you get the brand ahead of emerging sort of challenges?
Yeah.
And how do you get supply chains to sort of look at you as a very viable, important brand to keep on their shelves, right?
Yeah.
Across. So a supply chain guy needs to be able to make things for you, and a distributor needs to be able to pick up your product, and then retailers need to be able to keep the product, right?
Yeah.
The brand really plays a very strong role there. So I think that's one of the most critical components to this.
And kind of staying on the brand messaging and the overall how you guys have kind of brought this together. Akiva as a brand is very pocket friendly and environmental friendly as well. You guys have always pushed for recyclable packaging. I don't think most consumers that are in your audience will look at Akiva and something that is going to dissuade them is definitely not the price. So how have you guys kind of managed that, and has it been difficult to kind of push for things like that and keep it consistently that way? Yes,
it has been difficult, but it's also been a very conscious choice. It's a purpose with which the company has been set up, Kabir, honestly. It's undeniable the amount of effort it takes to make the kind of products we do available at the prices we do, and available in the kind of packaging we do, available with the kind of distribution that we have, and especially available with the kind of service engagement that we do. It's difficult, but it's not impossible, and we have been able to do that well, I think, over the last few years. There are always ups and downs, but I think overall we have done a very good job of it. The way we have done it is by being extremely cognizant of the raw material that we get, by
Yeah.
being extremely cognizant of the kind of you know the refinements that we can have in terms of our processing, by working with some of the best people in terms of contract manufacturing. We also are extremely aware of the kind of impact we should have on the environment and on the ecosystem. So we have consciously chosen things that are recyclable, they're pet grade, they are reusable. In fact, a lot of people send us pictures of our short bottles being used as planters, and they use
Yeah.
them as to store spices. Some use them as pen stands. While we have a full scale recycle.
Distribution and consumer
Yeah,
behavior is all contributing to it growing. But what are some other things that you think will be key in more consumers getting into this segment? And
yeah.
what are supporting factors in your industry that you think maybe need to be catalyzed in some ways, or what are some improvements that you as a professional in this space think will actually help a company like yours access more people, and for consumers to have access to good products like yours?
Um, so two portions to your question. First is that what is the evolution in the industry itself, right? So
Yeah.
what's really
Yeah.
going to happen in terms of how can more products like this be bought out, and how can
Yeah.
there be a better awareness of it? And second is how can you get more customers in
Yeah.
to support that, right? It's a typical demand and supply bit, right?
Yeah.
What we are really trying to do across is find a way to actually make the industry an industry. Right now, health food industry is such a small little component in the larger food ecosystem, that there is no, as I mentioned earlier, also there's no massive representation of it, right?
Yeah.
It's not there are policies being made to look at health food
Specifically. Yeah.
specifically, um, and that's sad, and that's going to evolve, because I think if nothing else, the current situation that we are in, it's going to push people towards demanding healthier alternates, right? You will demand for things that will increase your immunity. You will demand for things that are going to help you live just a little bit longer and a little healthier, without needing to go to the doctor. People are going to be extremely scared of going to the hospital,
Yeah.
right? So if you don't want to go to the hospital, you have to take good care of yourself.
Yeah.
And if you have to take good care of yourself, you have to take good care of your diet,
Yeah.
right? And the only way you're going to be able to do that is by finding things that are going to keep you healthy. You don't want to rush to the hospital for something, and then just at the back of your mind, you're like, this is not really the right thing for me to do, right? Behavior is going to evolve, and that evolution of the behavior will need products to support the need that's going to come from that behavior evolution. And that need can be only solved once companies of all scales and sizes come together to be able to solve them, not as independent companies, but as a conglomerate, right? And I think that's
Collective.
really what's
Yeah.
needed. Yeah, absolutely. So we need a collective, and I know there are a lot of good people in the ecosystem are trying to put together that collective, and I think we're also part of that initiative in many ways. So hopefully we should come to some kind of a large formative group there. But more importantly, consumer demand is anyways going to rise because of the emerging need. The industry will need better representation, and people across different diverse groups will need to come together to actually create the industry, which probably is extremely fragmented right now. So supply chains will also immediately start to support that. See, again, it's a demand supply curve, right? Supply chains will come together to support whatever is needed from the larger mechanism of consumer demand. Kabir, have we lost you? We lost you for a bit, didn't we?
Yeah. I think I'm back now. Can you hear me now?
Good. Yes, we can.
Yes. So I lost you at the consumer demand bit, but I think everybody probably got that. So should be good. Okay, give me 1 second. I think we're good.
Yeah, we're good.
Yes. All right.
Was I too still? Did it look like I have frozen?
Yeah. No, after that, I actually checked 3 times, and then I said, I actually said, "Am I good?" And your head moved a little, so I was confused. I was like, I kept talking, and I was like, "No, I'm still disconnected." So I was just
No. So we're
reconnected.
good. Yes. Go
Yeah.
on, please. Sorry.
And just the last question in terms of consumer behavior,
Hmm.
changing, and also how the ecosystem will change. I think you had mentioned about supply chain,
Yeah.
and the collective. Do you think that you guys will also, before we go into the last question before the closing segment, which is um, the COVID related, the lockdown related, do
Yeah.
you think your distribution is also going to become more less retail focused and more direct to consumer through marketplaces? Are you going to be exploring those channels much
Absolutely.
more? Yeah.
Absolutely. The quicker answer is yes.
Yeah.
100%. No two ways about it. Till things don't work out better for everyone, modern trade retail is going to be a slight challenge. Direct to consumer is really the way to go. And considering we are extremely conscious about the quality, not only of the product, but of the way the product gets delivered and the packaging and everything, I think we are also as an organization more focused in terms of doing that. And also, we're able to deliver so much more consumer delight by being closer to the consumer, by being direct to consumer,
Directly. Yeah. Yeah.
by being a direct channel. Yeah.
Absolutely. And quickly, how do you think post lockdown is going to look like for you guys as a company? You as a stakeholder in the ecosystem, and for consumers that are buying products like yours.
Yeah. Um, don't know. It's a little too early to tell,
Yeah.
honestly. But one can predict a few things, right? One can predict that post lockdown, it's not going to be uh, bouncing back to the old ways of being immediately. Although, we are an extremely resilient sort of nation. We also have very short attention span, so we might just we might just go back to celebrating our Diwali and our Dashera in a very different way,
Yeah.
and celebrating Eid and everything completely differently. But what's really going to happen is that there are going to be pockets where we'll still be cautious,
Yeah.
but there are going to be pockets of revelry. We will have a festival. We're going to come together and celebrate. Things will go on. Life will move. So I'm not so sure it's going to have a very clear and direct impact in the very long run, right? Behaviors will evolve a little bit, but I'm not so sure how much is going to happen, right? We're also a very large nation, so what happens in that kind of enormity is that your sentiments are extremely different.
Yeah.
Your behavior patterns are extremely different. So I don't really think that it's going to have a very clear impact immediately. Maybe it's going to have some impact in terms of the way processes are driven, the way consumers will choose a fewer products over others. But it might just be that it doesn't change into a completely new way of being. Maybe we will go back to the old way of being, and maybe that's fine. Maybe that's fine. It's something that maybe we don't really need to go all the way away from. Uh, I'm actually okay with the old way of being. I didn't mind
Yeah.
it too much.
Yeah. Well, time will tell. And I mean, if
I
things
will
do,
tell. It's too early. It's too
yeah.
early. It's if anyone says that they know it, I would take that with a bucket full of salt right now.
Yeah. And I
Right?
mean, if it were to also primarily become less retail focused, you guys are kind of well prepared for that, and
We
would be
we were
easily able
always
to adapt. Yeah.
yeah, we were always very well prepared for that. We were always a first direct to consumer channel and then retail. So we were very well aware of where the emerging demand is going. But one needs to wait and watch, Kabir. I think it's just too early to actually have any kind of a prophetic statement out there. One can have one, but it's not really going to stick.
Yeah, well, I appreciate the honesty there. So before we go into our closing segment, just for our participants, we're going to have some closing thoughts from Samriddh, but that's when we start our Q&A. So if you have any questions, you can start putting them in the chat, and I'll bring them up with Samriddh so that he can answer those. So closing thoughts, Samriddh, thanks so much again for being here. And I learned a lot more about you and the business that you're in, and
It was fun. Thanks.
yeah, absolutely. So just some closing questions. Who would you like to potentially have in the same seat as you, and who would you like, if I were to put up a picture with that person and give out a Zoom link, who would be that person that would really entice you to want to be a part of something like this?
Uh, Well, not in. I'm nowhere in the same league as them, but I think I would love to hear PV Sindhu and Duti, man. I think these two phenomenal athletes.
Yeah.
And when you look at the kind of work that they have done, uh,
Oh, did Samriddh drop? I think he did. Sorry, guys. Give me 1 second. Just checking.
Wait, I think Samriddh did drop.
Yeah. I'm just checking with him, man. Sorry, guys. Give us a couple of minutes here. We should be good. But if you guys want, you can use this time to put in any questions that you have for Samriddh or me.
In the meanwhile, not to put you on the spot, but
Yeah.
do you have any thoughts and reflections from your chat?
Yeah, I mean, I understand a lot of things more now because of learning about the army experience there, and definitely it's kind of cool to know about a lot more about how the health food space kind of works, right? So
hey, I'm so
uh,
sorry.
no problem.
My
Welcome back.
internet just went off for some weird reason. I don't know how that happened. But yeah, what did I miss?
No, we were just jumping into, we were asking participants to put up questions. We have some rolling in, and the team
Excellent.
internally also had some, so that's great. But yeah, you were
Excellent.
saying about PV Sindhu and Duti Chand.
Yeah, get them on. I would love to listen
I
to
would
them.
love to.
But
I would love to. We're
yeah,
definitely going to do that. Reach out and hopefully they can jump on. Maybe they have some time right now. I feel like they might have some time to come on a Zoom
well,
call.
I would assume if anyone can, you can.
Yeah, thank you. Cheers. Cheers. So, you had mentioned that Instagram is one of the best sources of information that you look for in terms of your workouts. You mentioned,
Yeah,
Sweaty Sweta. I always get that wrong.
Swery Sheta. Yeah,
Shweta,
Swery
yeah,
Sheta.
yeah,
Yeah.
and but can you pinpoint some key sources of information that you have absolutely loved, say in the last 6 months, that have really had an impact on you, that you could share with us? They could be books, they
Um,
could be blogs, podcasts, whatever that kind of does it for you.
yeah, actually, a few. I like Ashwin Dog's Habit podcast. I think it's a great podcast where he keeps talking about sort of doing smaller things that will make your life better in many ways and super practical. That's one. Um, I have also been reading this book, which is called How Not to Die. Um, I find it super
To
fascinating. Yeah,
mortality.
How Not to Die. No,
Yeah.
but it's a fat book, man, and it's just taking ages. But I'm going super slow with it. But it's a brilliant book. It's by this guy called Michael Greger, and I think what it really does is it tells you how to eat better, what kind of different choices you should make in terms of the kind of things you should include in your diet, right? And how almost everything is curable and everything is preventable if you were just to make very strong life decisions in terms of the kind of food you eat
And plan for it.
and plan for it. So yeah, so
Yep.
these two have been primary information and source of inspiration also in some form. Uh, Rest, I don't know, man. I just read too many things and I just consume too many things to actually keep a tab of it.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure anybody who wants to know more can kind of catch up with that on your Twitter, because you do share some really cool stuff there. So anybody who missed the two sources there, one is the podcast called The Habit Coach by Ashden, and the other is How Not to Die by Dr. Michael Greger. And yeah, before we jump into questions, any closing thoughts on our conversation? And specifically, I think I wanted to go back to that one question I had with you, of how you're able to kind of do all of this. I think in a time like this specifically, people who are also super motivated and driven can have a tough time. So how
Yeah.
any advice? Not maybe not advice per se, but things that you believe in, that can get us to stay motivated or stay happy during this time.
Shit, I don't know. Am I allowed to say that?
Yeah, you are. Of course. No, we're trying to be completely open, transparent, and honest here. So
I don't know. For me, honestly, it's okay not to be, Kabir.
yeah,
I think we are putting also a lot of pressure on us to just keep doing things, take things off a to-do list and sort of just achieving. It's okay. It's okay. Take a day off. Take a week off. It's fine.
yeah. Now's the time
Um,
you can do it.
Now's the time you can do it. So incidentally, I wrote this thing in 2012, and I just posted a couple of days back saying this is the time that I have to do everything that requires time. And I don't know why I wrote that in 2012, but it's still pretty relevant right now.
Right.
So yeah, maybe. I see Vibhu Sharma has left a comment, which is Sam is a great cook, by the way, guys. He has a secret recipe to boil water.
Vibhu Sharma has always got the jokes.
Yes. So thanks, Vibhu, and I'm not sharing the recipe with everyone.
Yeah. So I think great point there. Appreciate the honesty with that. I think there is a lot of pressure for people to think that if I'm not doing something, I'm just not doing enough.
Yeah, man. It's okay. It's okay not to do things right now. It's fine.
Yeah. There have been days where I've just, by 3-4 p.m. I'm just like, all right, done, man. Shut the laptop, just go vegetate for a bit, and literally feel much better 2 hours later. So now's the opportunity, now's the time to be able to do that. You don't have to come out of this knowing a new instrument or reading 18 books or
I think we as humans put too much pressure on ourselves.
Yeah.
We put too much pressure. We have this absolutely unreal expectation from ourselves.
Yeah.
It's like going to the gym, right? You see the guy next to you who's lifting probably 20 kgs more than you, and then suddenly you increase your plates.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
Right? It just doesn't work like that.
Personal. Yeah.
I mean, you're not out there to compete with anyone. You're not out there to prove anything to anyone. You definitely don't need to outshine anyone. Just be normal, be fine, be happy with what you do. I think that's more than enough. In today's world, that's a blessing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great take back here that, even if you aren't motivated, it's okay. Take a break, take a day off, take a week off.
100%.
And you probably feel happier doing that. I mean, even with me, I've seen, Shubho, my trainer, he'll message 5 minutes before the session. Are you sure we're doing a session today? Because so many times, like 10 minutes into the session time, I've been like, yeah, bro, not feeling it, not coming today. So, I mean, he's also taking it easy on me now. And he just says, yeah, it's okay. Take it easy. You'll do better in the session tomorrow if you really want to do it and you really want to feel it. Right.
Agreed.
So thanks.
There are some questions. Shall we look at the questions?
We're going to start addressing those.
I see a question which says, does India have any advantages when it comes to natural resources that will enable it to be a major player in nutrition and superfoods in the 21st century?
That's a great question.
Yeah, dude, we already are. So Virat, look at it from this perspective that we probably have the largest resources of herbs and plants which are so widely spread, and we have multiple seasons. We have supply chains which are extremely attuned towards transporting of those goods. Look at the diversity of this country. It's still an extremely well-oiled machinery when it comes down to the railways and the transportation of goods, right? So we have that bit sorted to a very large extent. We have different seasons, which means that we can grow different things, right? The agrarian part of the economy is still not gone, and there is a lot of cooperative movement which is happening both at a local as well as a regional level to ensure that these kind of products are produced. A large portion of this product is also produced for export, but there are multiple people who are bringing in and using it for manufacturing of things like the way we do. So 100%, yeah. I think we have more than enough natural resources. We have more than enough capability to definitely become a forefront leader in this nutrition business.
Awesome. Thank you, Virat, for that question. We have one from Vikram, which is, what are the missing pieces for brands such as Akiva and its product to penetrate India 2 and India 3?
Great question. I think it's just about a brand being able to operate at scale and then being able to bring the prices down. It's not so much about the acceptance of products; it's about the fact that we really can't imagine our products being ready for an India 3 at this moment, or an India 2 also to some extent. Although we do deliver a lot of our products to India 2, by the way, but it's still not as much as it could be. And I think the function is honestly about, can we really bring the cost down? Can we make the products available faster? Can the logistics system support it? The distribution system support it? The missing pieces are honestly that if there is a larger consumer demand, then there is an automatic reduction in price. And that reduction in price enables us to deliver the products to far and wide in a much better, more organized way. And if we can do that, then nothing like it here.
Thank you, Samriddh. Thanks for the question, Vikram. We will take a break from questions. There's a compliment to you from Neha saying that she uses the Akiva ghee. At the price point, taste and flavor, it is super. It's not stupid expensive, and yet you are getting very high quality.
Thank you so much, Neha. Really appreciate that. Thanks a lot. Really means a lot.
We have another question here from Neha. Any chance of a caffeine-based shot for people like me who are dependent on coffee to kickstart my day and give me that workout push?
We are working on an energy shot, which will probably be even caffeine free. So you don't really need caffeine; you just need the boost of energy. So we're gonna make sure there's something with you on that.
Awesome. Well, Neha, you can look forward to that.
Yeah.
We have another question here from Vidar, which is: do you think healthier foods will get cheaper or more expensive in the future? Given
increasing demand, I think it's just going to get cheaper. It's going to get way more affordable. It's going to get way more mainstream. Anything mainstream just becomes way more affordable, right? And that's the idea. We are working very hard towards making sure that our shots remain at the same price point, and they've remained at the same price point for the last year and a half, 2 years. So it's been an effort, but we have done that. There have been a lot of increase in costs across the supply chain, across the supply line, but we haven't passed that on to the end consumer till we can. And I think just with increasing demand, it becoming more mainstream, we should be able to pass on those benefits to the consumer.
Awesome. And there is one last for both of us, which is: any tips, advice for a fitness novice like myself to take this time and start working on their fitness from home? You want to take a crack at that?
Yes. So two things, right? First is that recognize what you are going to be able to do. Okay. Please don't start lifting those gas cylinders. Just please don't do that.
Yeah.
I have seen too many people across different channels try to do that. Please, you're going to hurt yourself really badly if you are not used to it. Please don't do things like that. Start small. Go for a walk if you can, if your society where you live, or if there's a space around you that allows you to do that. If not, start doing some push-ups, start doing some sit-ups, start doing some squats. I think if we look at it from that perspective, that we're able to just use our own body, move better, just sort of keep looking at a pyramid where maybe you started with 40 minutes of just walking around. But the next day, what you did was you did 30 minutes, but in those 30 minutes, you put in, let's say, 10 minutes of push-ups, right? And the next day, what you did was you did 15 minutes only, but you did 15 minutes of push-ups straight out, right? Why don't you build on that pyramid? Then what will happen is then you're going to reach a point where you are like peaking at, you're probably not doing too many sessions of something because you might just run out of patience and time. But what you're really being able to do is push yourself and use your own body weight to work out a lot more, right? So keep building on that, keep building on the intensity, keep building on the level of complexity, but don't go for a large kill, man. Don't go for like 100 push-ups in the first day. You'll not move the next day, right?
Yeah.
So honestly, recognize your body, recognize the fact that while this is the time to start your fitness regime, and you should definitely, but maybe you don't need to achieve everything in day one. Break it up into smaller, achievable pieces. When we as humans achieve something, even if it's a small little thing, we feel really good about ourselves, right? And then we move on to the next thing. But if we already sort of put a very big target out there, then most likely we won't, right?
Yeah, 100% agree. I think I read somewhere the other day also to try and set yourself up for the small W's, right? Make quick achievable goals, and 100% agree on the functional bit as well. I think sticking to just basic sit-ups, crunches, squats, push-ups, and if you have a bar somewhere doing pull-ups and stuff, those 4 movements will keep you functionally fit. And as Samriddh has mentioned earlier in the episode, and now also, if you're able to do everything that you need to do daily better without any kind of without needing to catch your breath or being able to do more of it, that's ideal to kickstart your fitness journey. So yeah, thank you. I think that is the end of the questions. Just a few quick points there. You can get in touch with Samriddh with more questions, or if you want to interact with him on Twitter at Samriddh, which is SAMRIDDHD. If you guys would like, we would really appreciate if you can drop in your email addresses as well, and we'll be sending out an excerpt of this as well as all the information available to get in touch with Samriddh. We are live with all of our episodes on Muncher Podcasts at YouTube, at Muncher Podcasts on Instagram, and you can find other shows that Muncher Media works on munchermedia.com. And we hope to be doing more of these soon. And thank you so much to Samriddh for taking the time and taking 3 p.m. on a Friday out for us and taking the risk with us to do this for the first time. So cheers, man. Appreciate you giving all of that insight.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. I love the name Muncher, by the way. Every time you say it, I keep smiling. It's a cute name. But no, thanks a lot, Kabir. I think this was super fun. Very happy to be here. And I hope I added some value to some people's lives.
Absolutely.
That's really the most important thing.
Awesome. I think I definitely a lot of value added to me personally. So I'm sure the participants also got a lot of it as well. And this will be up in hopefully a couple of days on all of our channels as well. So, if you feel like some people would like to get value out of this, please do share that link. We'll be sharing it all across. Samriddh, I know you had mentioned you have some people that you want to share this as well. So we'll send that out to you so that you can do that as well.
Thanks a lot.
Cheers.
All right.
All right. Thank you so much.
Weekend.
Have a great weekend. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Bye.
All right, guys. Thank you, everybody, for attending. We plan on doing some more of these soon. So as mentioned, you can find us at Muncher Podcasts on YouTube, at Muncher Podcasts on Instagram, or munchermedia.com. We've got a bunch of other great shows as well, and we'll be doing more of the pursuit of wellness. Thank you to everybody who participated, sent questions. Appreciate you guys taking time out of your Friday afternoon. Cheers. Take care. Have a great weekend.